Stuart? Where do we start? Where did it go wrong?
Well. Listen, I mean, we're all really, really disappointed because I think we felt as though within the ranks we had such a good clutch of players that had the opportunity to go all the way, and few of them were growing in confidence. Some of the youngsters were really staking a claim as being, top quality players, Bellingham and Saka and the like. But a real blow, and I thought we were a better team. That's the frustration really for us.
Stuart, I think as I was saying earlier that you couldn't have hoped to do such a good number on France, and they were pretty limp. And stopping Mbappe was a big thing that Kyle Walker did, and it still wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't. Listen, it was fine margins, Cass. We've spoke about this a fair bit. I think probably one of the things that probably hurt us a little bit, and this is a theme in the tournament, from what I've seen, is I think we've started games a little bit too slowly, and it's almost as though we want to play our way into the game. And I think that was prevalent yesterday. We started the game slowly. I think sometimes you've got to get after the opposition, and we played slowly into the game and never really got into it. And every time they turn the ball over in those first 15 minutes, they come straight after us, And I would like us to have started probably most of the games a little bit more on the front foot, turning the opposition round. All those key words that sort of probably in our careers that managers barked out to us, but we didn't do that, and I think it probably cost us a goal,
It sort of seems, I mean, you're highlighting that there, and it seems obvious as to, how can a game start with England always so slowly? Why do you think that is, Stuart? Because it is something that we've talked about. We even talked about it earlier on in the show this morning, saying, again, very ponderous, very sort of laboured in our approach, and not enough players getting forward. It always seems to take time for England to grow into games. But why is that? Is that a mentality thing, or is that the direction from Gareth Southgate?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the direction from Gareth. I'll be very surprised. I just think in that build, between the centre halves and Deck, we weren't as aggressive enough to get the ball and get turned and look to go forward, especially early on. I mean, the last thing you want as a defender playing against any team is the ball to go out to their offensive players in wide areas and them to get turned and run at you very early on in the game, and we sort of played into their hands a little bit, and that was a little bit of a frustration. I was watching the game yesterday and thinking to myself, come on, let's go forward and put one on their chin and put them on the back foot, and we didn't do that. And it probably wasn't until the goal went in against us, all of a sudden we started to be a bit more aggressive with our play, and I think we're a really good side when we're aggressive and on the front foot.
Yeah, and look, it doesn't help, Stuart, does it? I mean, we don't like to go there with referees, but he certainly didn't do England any favours.
No, as I say, it's been a strange one, Cass. When I look at the World Cup in general, there's not been many sendings off, which is really refreshing. You don't want games to edge on sendings off and stuff like that. So there hasn't been. But also as well, I've not seen a player at this World Cup booked for diving, which if you're telling me we've eradicated diving from the game, I'm astounded. And then for the referee to be staring at the Mason Mount decision and not even deem that as a penalty, I mean, it's just quite incredible, really, But listen, I don't think at the end of the game that he was responsible for the exit of England. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. But the standard of refereeing at the highest level should be a touch better than we saw last night.
I think everyone's in agreement that on the balance of play, England were the better team. I thought, for me personally, it's the second time I've had the real opportunity to watch France, having been at the Tunisia-France game live and then watching them on the telly properly. I was quite disappointed with them. I just expected a lot more from them. But they always find a way of getting through and winning games like they did yesterday. Is there any positives that England can take away from this tournament, Stuart?
Oh, a multitude, Nat, an absolute multitude. I think when you look, you've got a nucleus, especially of the age they're at. When you look at Rice, you look at Bellingham, you hope Grealish and Foden keep pushing forward, Saka. I mean, you can go through the ranks. I mean, Henderson's come and had a revival, and I think had brilliant impact in the USA game. And I think even yesterday, the energy of him and Bellingham drove the team. I really do. You know, so there's so many positives. Cole Walker's marked the best player at this tournament, you know, and kept him really quiet. I think Mbappe had one shot in the first half that he skied way over. Apart from that, he was feeding off scraps because Walker dealt with him really well, you know. And Harry Maguire, let's go to Harry Maguire and John Stones. The partnership in general over this tournament, and Harry and the pressure he's been under. People didn't even want him on the aeroplane, let alone, I think, arguably, consistently, he's been one of our best players here. So many pluses. It's been incredible.
Sure, I was saying earlier as well that, you know, if there was another penalty tomorrow, I'm giving the ball to Harry Kane. Because, first of all, I think look, it's easy in hindsight. But, you know, we've been there, penalty taking, and I just felt it's an easy sort of get out to go, oh, we shouldn't have taken the second one. I'm thinking, well, really? You know, I'm always giving the ball to him.
Oh, without a doubt. If ever did, I mean, he stood up to take the first one, you know, nerveless and whatever. And as I say, you trust him implicitly, and I would tomorrow as well as I did yesterday, you know. So it's incredible. I went down for breakfast this morning, and, you know, at the breakfast areas light, and we're decoding the game and talking. And I heard one of our ranks turn around and said, you know what? If I was him, I wouldn't have let Harry Kane take the second one. And I had to stop him dead in his tracks there, you know what I mean? I said, imagine what you'd have said this morning if you'd have said to Harry Kane, you're not taking the next one, someone else's, and they miss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Harry's been a brilliant servant for England, and he will continue to be that. And I thought, going back to Nat's point about the pluses, I thought Harry Kane led the team brilliantly. I bemoaned about us not being on the front foot. I'll tell you what, I think Harry certainly bucked that trend early on in the game, and I thought he had his best game for England at this World Cup yesterday.
And what about the future of Gareth Southgate? Where would you stand on him?
I hope, I've dropped him a text this morning, just saying how proud I am of him and the squad. And Nat, to be honest with you, I hope he stays in post and drives this team forward, because I was so proud of them, and have been the last tournament as well. I was at Wembley when they were in the final there, and prior to that in Russia. And I've been so proud of all the players and what they're achieving and what they stand for, and the togetherness and the pride in wearing the shirt as an ex-England player. And I hope that he carries on in his role, because he's the one who's knitted all this together. And it would worry me if he did step away, but he'll think things out. He's very studied in what he does, and but I just hope, fingers crossed, that he stays in post.
And also, I suppose, Stuart, we should look at the fact that a lot of these players in that England squad are young. They're going to grow. They're going to get hopefully better. So we can hope that there will be some success down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that is the hope. If you look at the building process, I think there is a building process here that they're getting generally better. They went toe-to-toe with the world champions yesterday, and was probably arguably, well, there's no arguably about it, they were the better team. So I think if you're being totally outclassed and get knocked out of a tournament, you start to look at the sort of root and branch of what you're doing. But I think when you're as competitive as we are at the moment, consistently, bar maybe, you know, this summer just gone, where there was varying reasons why we weren't as competitive in the 3 or 4 games we played this summer. Apart from that, there's been a level of consistency that's been quite incredible from the England team over time. So, yeah, I just hope he stays in post. I think he's what he stands for as a man, let alone as a manager, is there for all to see.